I'm live. I'm live, folks. All right. We gonna play rapid with explanation for people tuning in. I'm not sure if you guys are tuning in right now, but I am a master explaining the move by move. Yeah, we are live actually. We are live. So I do explain move by move, as I go along. That may be leading to all the way to like maybe even losing on time. Hopefully not losing on time, but the point is just explaining move by move. So you got educational stuff so you could learn, right? All right, folks, we gonna start right now. Everything is working now as it should be. So we'll probably start. Hopefully, let's do minus 50, I guess. If we could find opponents. So this educational stuff is very helpful. You could also tune into my, YouTube videos, of course. You do have, more of that, of course, but we are doing it live. Should we find an opponent? Should I find an opponent first? That could be the struggle. Opponent? Everybody's taking day off, I guess. They're not playing. Or they're playing other games. They're probably playing Bullet. That's what they're doing. Bullet! Why play Bullet when there's potential rapid? Potential rapid. Yeah, that's actually pretty. Minus 100. See what happens. Not easy to find games. That's one good example for that. The higher you are. Okay, this guy's good. Let's play d4. I could play anything, to be honest. Let's play c4. I haven't played this in the longest time. Let's play a goofy line. It could transpose. This is actually the queen's gambit decline anyway. h6, kind of interesting. So you could take here, knight takes. That's okay for white, of course. Maybe b3, bishop b2. He plays bishop d6. Supposedly I could fianchetto the bishop on b2. So sometimes black would like to do like e5 kind of break. Not necessarily here, but, it could be like a preparation for doing so, like rook e8, queen e7. And then some kind of e5. We may actually beat him to it. Beat him to it, meaning that we step into knight e5. I'm also lining up the bishop that way. So he cannot really take. The bishop is hanging on b7. He doesn't take this way. He just loses a piece, right? If you took with the knight, this is actually to protect it twice. If you want to take here, that's okay, but that's going to be a bishop pair. He plays knight e4. Makes sense. So play f3, he's likely to take. And then he might take with the knight. So that's supposed to be the way. We could take here first, queen takes. Or he could even do this, maybe. This probably doesn't matter much. We could play here. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is good or bad for me, but it's a plan. Supposedly, I'm trying to do like, let's say queen c2, f5, c5, maybe a potential. Or maybe I'm trying to open up here, get the bishop activated, but it's not that clear. It's not clear. Queen c2, f5, f3, takes. They have to do f3, so there's a clash of taking. So I'm fixing his pawns, but I'm just basically trading everything. The real question is stick with the rook. It's probably, I'm trying to get d5 in. It's not easy to get it. d5 so it could connect the bishop, right? Like open up for the bishop. He plays rook d8. Supposedly, I just need to get out of this potential, like, pinning ideas. Maybe d5 is not really a move now. Yeah, especially after this move. So we could do this, but it opens up. But he also opens up for his bishop, though. Opens up for his bishop, and then it becomes like a real clash. Real clash. So maybe here, here, here. Maybe it's e3, though. So if he plays queen c6 attacking the rook, I just play rook f1. Not much going on though here. Maybe this just it feels like white pawns, if there's a trade, would get better. Supposedly here, these 4 pawns is probably better than here. So he plays queen c6. He's attacking the rook. I have to play here. So this move is probably precise enough. You don't want to go back this way. This is like passive. You develop a piece to protect, so that's always good, right? So you don't want to like waste moves. He plays here. He wants to try to play here. Maybe I could play a4 myself. So the idea is actually putting all his pawns on dark squares. He has a dark square bishop, though. So that's an idea. So typically when you put your pawns in light squares, he putting his pawns in dark squares. It means that if we trade everything, should we have a bishop ending, like king versus king, bishop versus bishop, this means the pawns will be attackable, right? They'll be attackable with the bishop, with the b2 bishop, where my pawns are not really attackable, right? So that's it's a little bit of a difference. Sometimes it doesn't make a difference, but most of the time it might. Hey, sir, how's it going? So probably the real question is which way to take. If I take with a bishop, it's probably bishop c5, something like this, along with like e5 maybe, but e5 is maybe not playable, but maybe pawn takes. It's probably pawn takes. Plays bishop b4. Fast enough. He's playing goofy. He's always queen e4. Should I play this? Maybe. Maybe this first attacking here. This is kind of a tricky move, though. I mean, supposedly, how could he defend that? Maybe queen d7. So I'm attacking on f7 right now, so this is actually the idea. Triple stack the piece so I could take on f7. If he plays f5, then it weakens up e6. That's how he defend. Yeah, probably this is a move. Probably this, you want to be careful not to do this move. There's also bishops, you could take, and bishop c5 in some lines. Okay, so I wonder if I could do like this kind of stuff. Triple stack the other side, not triple stack, but double, like put the, instead of f file, it becomes a d file with the idea of d5. I mean, maybe it's not that clear that it's doing much. He plays queen d6. This is actually the plan. He might be doing this. Trying to trade, but is it that good of an idea? I don't know. Maybe I could still take and play rook d3 and some kind of d5. But at least you get rid of his bishop, so we don't have this dynamic, meaning that, bishop versus bishop, and he doesn't have to worry about these pawns. Should we trade bishops, right? So we'll see. I mean, maybe rook d3 here is the goal, to try to play some kind of d5. Yeah, he plays here himself, which I'll not take, huh? Yeah, I kind of missed this move though, but supposedly this is like totally gambling kind of stuff. Supposedly if d5 f6, this is like a new dynamic. I may have to push. So this becomes a pass pawn, but it's not as easy as it looks. So maybe here there are some weaknesses around the king. Is like almost like h4, h5 kind of ideas. So typically when I always tell my students to be careful which small moves you do. There's some kind of weaknesses. It could be a problem later. I mean, maybe like h4, h5. So kind of like fixing the pawn the way it is. It's still in the dark squares. We still have a bishop. So he played here. He's probably want to do this in some line, maybe h4. I just want him to not play f5. This is being taken care of, though. Because f5 is probably queen takes e5. If anything, white is actually getting better. I mean, it's probably not a draw anymore. Was best play. There's always a concern about the clock. So I have to get out of this diagonal because he's going to check one way or the other. F5 is still not a move. It's probably king g2, though, supposedly. So the difference between a move here, if I want to play h5, this may come with check. Maybe king g2 is proper move. f5 is still queen takes e5. I may still need to like prepare this move, maybe something like this, like g4, h5. Again, and the idea is pretty simple, putting the pawns in dark squares. So it's becoming like this kind of issue, right? Exactly what I'm pointing at. Should white trade everything? Have bishop pair? May still be good for white, right? So he wants to consider this. No, sir, this is not happening. Now the real concern is if he could play this, maybe. This is kind of goofy. Maybe I have to triple double stack here. So avoiding him from playing f5. So maybe this kind of stuff. Or maybe you're like rook f5, h5. I mean, this may be like not as easy. So this move I don't understand though. Maybe I could still play here. He's not going to e2. So I still play here. This move feels like a loss of major tempo here for no reason. So if he goes here, it's at like h5. And he may have to go back here, queen h7, which doesn't feel like the right way to play. g5, I don't think this is a real move, though. He'd probably have to go here. There's maybe a tactic here, maybe. Let me see. This is actually playable. So, yeah, that's actually this may have been playable. Hi, how's it going, sir? How's it going? So there's maybe a trick here. Rook takes. If you take here, rook takes. If he takes here, the queen is hanging. So that's the reason why this would have been met by rook sack. Takes, and it becomes a free pawn. That's the reason why he was thinking about it. So maybe it's still h5. g6. No, g6 is rook takes f6. Okay, g4. The real question is, where is the improvements? Now that I got all my pawns on light squares, which is okay, good, but where's the win? Where's the win, though? Trying to trade queens. He could play this. Reroute the bishop, maybe. It's reroute the bishop because the bishop is not doing much here. I mean, it's being blocked by the pawn. Maybe it's like this kind of stuff. He could still play bishop c5, but then he has to worry about d5 moving. In some lines, it could move. I still have to worry about this g4. You cannot move your queen here because he's hitting it. You want to have everything intact, defended. But this scenario is pretty good for white, having all these white pawns like here. He plays here. Okay, that's... The queen is going where exactly? Maybe here. So if I go here, this is kind of goofy. I may still take. He's stepping in. I was preparing bishop c1 anyway, so it's gonna be helping me out. Helping me out to play bishop e3. Wow, he wants to trade queens here. I don't know. This feels goofy. Probably should take. So this pawn becomes a pass pawn, but it's now wicked weak. But maybe if I play the wrong setup, he may have this kind of stuff. So maybe I have to be careful how to approach this. So if I go here, bishop c5, bishop b2. Yeah, this is good enough. This move. This is a free pawn, sir. Free pawn. It's a big grab. He wants to get some activity. That's true. He wants to play here. So I have to be careful if this is met by bishop c5. I see. King f3 is rook e7. So if he plays here, which is probably the next move, I mean, that would be... It's between bishop c5, rook e7, rook f e7. So he could trying to get some play here at the cost of the pawn. I don't think it's enough, though. I mean, white should be able to be... I think it's probably rook e7, so quickly getting to this e2 kind of thing. Yeah, this is wicked passive. This move may be costly enough that I think it's pretty bad. Because now I gain a tempo. Like, I don't understand rook d7. It completely doesn't make sense at all. Rook e7, bishop c5, the only moves. So now bishop this move, it's a big tempo hitting c5. B6, excuse me, b6. So now we could play here, so we could stop all the rook e2 action that he was trying to do. Rook d6 is like really inactive rook. I consider rook d6 like inactive rook, like really passive square without doing anything at all. So maybe here I just want to trade like rook e1 now. Because now I'm up a pawn and he still have this major weaknesses going on. So this has to be winning. It's just a matter of the clock, the clock situation. So any kind of trade here, maybe trade everything off would be good. Even this maybe works. So now it's a new dynamic now. The bishop's no longer on the board, but I have the pass pawn. This should be winning still, like getting the king all the way here. Rook e3 maybe. So, and then pushing on c5. Sometimes you're looking at ideas that not necessarily like a plan, like knight d4, c5 takes, and then the pawn start pushing. But this move is a good try, though. Supposedly a take. Then I go here. He's trying to play this, but I have here. Maybe it's king g4, which I may have missed. So if he plays here, check. If he takes rook takes g7. Oh, g5. Now that seems to be bad. I could take. Yeah, I suppose I could put it on. Suppose I could put it. Yeah, this actually here. I wonder if this is still winning. Check takes d6. It should be winning. I did the counting pretty fast, but I'm not sure. The point is takes d6. You have to go back and then I play here. King takes. He plays here. Maybe it's not as winning as easy win now. Rook e8. So now I'm trying to win here. Should I win these pawns? Then it should be easy win, but Yeah, he has this move, which kind of missed it. And the clock is big issue for me too. Maybe b4. This is not winning anymore. Wow, this is not good. Offer a draw, which is probably a draw now. I misplayed it. He wants to play on with this position, which is incredible. He wants to win on time. Yeah, this is some of the BS that I have to deal with here, which is kind of a poor behavior. Yeah, now we trade. I don't know why he wants to win at like a position like this anyway. But I was winning here. I mean, I just want to check with something with the computer here. It's just a clock situation. So here, maybe it's a draw, yeah. So maybe here, maybe I misplayed it completely. Yeah, I was just winning here. So rook g8, maybe it's just d7. I forgot about d7. So rook d8, king c4. Actually, maybe rook d5. And then you win on a5. So something like king e6 takes on e5, king takes d7, rook takes e5. You have two pawns versus a pawn here, which should be winning. So the way I played it, if you were to do this, it's not winning because he just goes back on time just like he did. Yeah, even this is not winning. King b6 is just a try, but oh, b4. That's interesting. b4 here, a5. But even here I was winning. So the idea is the pawn is moving. So by the time he goes here, it's a6. Let's say rook b8, or if you push here, it's king a7 and king b7. And then I still have this pawn. I still could stop all these pawns on it, on its tracks, like something like here, and then there's nothing you could do. This is met by that. This is met by king b7 still. So even there, it's winning. But it's just a clock situation that I... All right, played this guy before. Let's play d5. I haven't played d5 in a long time. Speed. He playing e3. This is like the cool system. Kind of like boring. Yeah, so this is like a system, cool system, and yeah, it could be played. I mean, they could call it Stonewall, I guess. Like maybe here's the Stonewall attack. Not sure where's the attack here, but it's okay. There's no attack here, but so if he takes, I could take. So double pawns are not always a bad thing, by the way. You could play double pawns. I could play here, just try to get aggressive, but sometimes you could play this kind of moves. Let's play here. Trying to get my bishop activated. They usually play c3 though. That's but he's probably considering this. Considering taking. Goofy, sir. c3. Yeah, he's going with the norm. We could take. They probably take. Oh, you could take this way. They normally take, so knight c6. So the only thing if you misplay this in this opening, the only concern is the bishop on c1. You could see that it doesn't have a lot of squares, so he may have to play like here, bishop e3, or try to get the bishop. But you could see that the bishop is being shut down by its pawn at f4. And this setup is also shutting the bishop on c1 anyway, so you cannot play like bishop d2. I mean, you can, but it's not really... The only time that he might get active if you take, and then knight f3, bishop e3, and then he may have like bishop d4, so at least he has a diagonal that way. Now that I know that, I don't need to take, right? He could take, but not really me. You could take. Maybe knight e4 if he takes, bishop takes. I have to speed up a little bit because people are now flagging me nowadays, which is they play rook versus rook and they want to win in a rapid game. I mean, it's just tedious most of the time. So he plays here. So again, maybe he wants to play like some kind of f5. It's opening up for this bishop. So I could try this. I know it's a mistake. Maybe I have queen b6 in between. He's likely to take this way, but he could take this way too because the bishop could connect. It's a bit of a mistake here, probably a positional mistake, but I might be looking at how I played the early h5, which seems to be a problem. He took here, which is I don't understand this move. I mean, it's probably take here, probably much better than taking here. Because the real issue here, maybe I don't have to, like, maybe I could play knight g4, and the bishop now still stuck on some lines. So maybe it's like knight g4, e6, and I'm back to, like, the original ideas were, I mean, maybe here bishop f3, so I may not have, like, e6, because you could take here, queen takes g4. So maybe it's like here, attack the bishop, bishop f3, e6. So that way the bishop, he may still play f5, but I could always take it. Potentially take it, because the pawn is on e6. So maybe here, instead of knight g4, because knight g4, as I mentioned, bishop f3, and then I may, if anything, I may have to play like f5, right? In order to stop him from playing f5 or taking on g4. So that's not really. I mean, it is playable, but h3, but and then maybe knight f6. Maybe it's playable, but maybe it's knight g4 is playable, but bishop f3, f5. This may be an idea to completely shut down his ambitions to get the bishop out. I mean, you could still get the bishop out to e3, but if the knight is sitting on h4, it's not that easy. And even getting the bishop on e3, the pawn's is locking its access to. All right, let's play knight g4. This is kind of for the views. So I'm actually attacking on here, so I'm expecting this move. I don't think he's going here or anything. He's gonna be more practical and play here. Now it's f5. It's probably a mistake because now I see queen b3. e6, queen takes b7. It's like not needed completely. So the other move makes a lot of sense. It's knight here. So it's actually the other move is possibly here. When he plays here e6, when he plays queen b3, I could defend b7. That's actually a major difference. So the problem here, I cannot defend this way. I could defend one pawn, and he's gonna take here with no compensation, I don't think. Yeah, that's the reason why. That's the reason why knight g4 is goofy. So he's gonna take here. The real question is what to do after that. I mean, it's just gonna be down a pawn for no reason, pretty much. It's funny that he's thinking about it. Ooh, that's very funny. This is not the move now. 100% had to take on b6, b7. I don't understand this move completely. This doesn't make sense here. So I could play queen. Actually, I see what's going on. This is actually what he's trying to do? I see. That's actually interesting. Yeah, this is actually a tactic. So let's say you play here. He's looking at this. Takes, bishop takes. Goofy at its best. Oh, that's a nice stuff here. Hmm. That's interesting. I'm actually looking at queen d7, some kind of like here, and actually rook e8, but that doesn't work. That always takes. Queen d6 takes. I was looking at even rook e8 with the idea if he goes here, checkmate. That's not gonna work. You could always take here, and you could always take there. Oh, this is also here. Maybe here. He doesn't have time to take. Doesn't have time for this. Yeah, it has to be this. No wonder this move is still doesn't add up very well. I mean, I think the idea is pretty much now he plays bishop e3. Um, but this is very funny though because I could take here. It's probably he's looking at some kind of trouble maybe. Let's see here. But can I take takes here and then win the rook? That's possible. There's no mate here. I could take first, sir. And he doesn't take back because he knows the rook is hanging. So where to put the rook? That's possibly here. Now this is met by rook here. There's an action happening. Now it's a piece. New dynamic. New dynamic. Really? Why, sir? Trouble, sir. Yeah, this is not good. Because the rook, the knight, the queen against a king. That's the reason why it's not good. I mean, even if he takes on e6, this is not... this is actually like almost mate, supposedly here. Now he's mate on f2. He's maybe mate on d2. And this is like all over. So I could see two mates. Knight f2 is mate. Cannot go here, cannot go there. It's queen d2 mate. So I have to probably play, I don't know, doesn't matter where I'm going. It's probably king h8, so he doesn't even have time to sack his queen. So he could get rid of the knight, but cannot save this mate. But he could probably play here. Yes, he could play here to save one of the mates, king c4. I could play knight f2 though. I don't understand though. Knight f2 first, so you have to sack his rook. This actually had to be bishop takes d5. Have to take here, bishop takes d5. But this is like, I mean, I have like 60,000 pieces here, and it's, I don't know why he's playing on. I could even sack the queen, perhaps. No, I can't. Trying to get rook d2. He could still take on d5. And then rook d2. I'm just up a rook. Really? Exchange. I mean, you know, people like to goof off, you know, to be honest. I mean, he could win this game. I mean, why not? I mean, he could, but, you know, there's no point of this game. Like, when you play this kind of stuff from, like, 2400 perspective, it just, like, doesn't make too much sense here. I mean, he's playing for the clock, but let him play for the clock. Hopefully, the clock would help him out. I don't think in this position. In this position, no. And the fun part, he's also sinking, which give me time to sink on, during his turn. He resigned. We could give him a rematch, even though he was not being reasonable with his moves at the very end. But... So this is a modern defense. Very good opening. I play it, of course. Bishop g4. I remember he played this goofing off stuff here, like when I played him before. He plays this queen c8 kind of ideas. Let's play d5. Throw him off. Takes. Throw him off. Bishop takes. Pawn takes would not. Oh, pawn takes. That kind of shut down the door for the bishop, but he's counting on f5. c4. c4. It's all a dream. f5. Yeah, I mean, f5 makes a lot of sense, but let's play f4. The reason for the f4, okay, I connect his one bishop, but his other bishop is being shut down. So maybe here bishop e3, and maybe trade one of... actually, maybe this is annoying. How annoying is it? Probably not a big deal here. Bishop here takes, h3, I guess. So the point of f5 is now the bishop on. So maybe he has to play c6 or something. Even then, it's not clear. He plays here. Rook c8, I guess. Rook c8. But this feels like a little bit passive. I don't have to react to this move, but he wants to play here. So if I play rook c1, for example, here, you are getting hit by knight g4. And if you take his rook c8, and then you do have to be careful what's going on here. Bishop here, rook takes c4. Takes, rook c8, bishop d4, rook takes c4. He's getting a little bit of activity. So maybe just h3, stopping all these ideas. b6 is okay, because now he's defending c5. His bishop's still stuck, though. So queen d2. He's probably going to play e6, which kind of... At some point, he might do it, but... Maybe I have to be, like, cautious about this move. His plan. So the idea here, he would love me to take, so he get his bishop activated somehow. Maybe b3, a4, rook c1, rook d1 kind of ideas. So b3, e4 kind of stopping all these pawns, like freezing them on the dark squares, like we once did before in one of the previous games. So b3. I don't understand queen c7, to be honest, but it's okay. Maybe he's going all that way, which is kind of goofy. I don't think that's a plan. And he went with this way. I saw that move, and that's okay, I suppose. You don't want to get reckless by g4. He might, but always a rook is hanging. He's actually attacking a pawn at this point. We just defend a pawn. This is met by maybe queen takes, bishop here, queen d3. So defending that pawn this way. That's going to be a free pawn. I don't think he's going for that one. He's just trying to connect his bishop, which I saw. But g5 is what the definition of craziness, I think. I mean, maybe he is going all in, but it's okay. But this is maybe where I could consider g4 as a series. There's also d6 in some lines. He's trying to play here and bishop e5. Supposedly that's a move. This feels like it shut the door, but the bishop is being shut down. I mean, how? And that's still leading to like some kind of rook g8 ideas. I'm not entirely sure if I should shut down the door that way. May have to do it for now. I'm not happy about it, but he's taking, but I don't understand this taking. So I felt like here he has to keep the tension on. I mean, maybe he doesn't have to take, because if I ever take, this knight takes. The reason I don't like this move, though, because the bishop now could get to h4, supposedly. Like, now it's makes this kind of knight silly. So now the bishop f6, okay. Supposedly that's an idea. Rook d1 now, getting out of this diagonal. Some kind of a4 maybe. I don't know if he's castling long. I mean, maybe he is. He is. So I'm going to e4, which now it's being like, now it makes a lot of sense. Maybe you could castle, yeah. I mean, the argument here is we both are like gonna try to attack. There's d6 maybe I had this move, but this kind of opens up. Yeah, I had d6. So d6 is maybe knight d5. Now d6 is it? This move is really the move. The idea, supposedly, is this queen e2 in between moves. So this is kind of nice. If queen takes queen e2, he's actually attack the queen and the knight. So he has to take here. Let's give it a try. Let's probably take here. Yeah, so this is queen e2, but this is also hanging, so maybe it's not that clear yet. Hmm. If he makes here, that's a mistake because that allows knight d5. So he plays here. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So I could play knight. I could accept down a pawn here. That's fine. He's gonna play knight g3. I could take and then e5. Did I blunder here? Rook g8, rook f2, rook takes h3. Okay. I played it fast, but it's okay. Assuming this is a move. He did not go for it. Okay, now I could do takes and queen e2. Shifting the attack from defending to attack. The point is mate in one. You know, so there's mate in one right now. He has to deal with this issue. Also, the rook sitting here, that's also should concern him. Helping with the attack. So you're looking at the knight, the queen, the rook. With the attack, should be good stuff here. This is met by bishop takes. Okay. The bishop's still around. So I could still play here. Everything is defended here in terms of taking. So another issue, knight takes b6. You may have defended the mate, but you may not be defending this. And now this is a big issue because the rook is coming. You may have to lose this queen. So you cannot really stop knight takes b6 per se. Good stuff, supposedly. Do your dance, sir. Do your dance. Yeah, I cannot stop this, I don't think. So sometimes it's a choice of moves, like knowing that this is not safe and playing it the right way. So I sacked a pawn. Yeah, he may have this move. Supposedly this is still playable. So if I take queen takes, this is still very dangerous actually. Takes, takes, takes. May have to play rook e2 just to continue his attack. If he plays queen b7, then it's queen. Hmm. So for rook e2, queen b7. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's lost, but because I could take on if you take here, rook takes. That's actually the issue. Um, if I went with this one, the queen takes, and then take here with check. I'm gonna go for this one. Okay. This is hanging. I mean, this has to be a good attack. Yeah, this has to be a good attack. Supposedly the rook is coming. Everything is coming. The rook is coming this way. I mean, you have to. Has to be like maybe checkmate, not just a good attack. The reason I say that maybe here the point is rook d7, and if you play here, welcome into the other rook. I mean, welcome in to Stellar World. So I mean, this has to be mate without looking at it deep enough. Not much you could do. I mean, to be honest. I mean, maybe resignation is key, but so he could do this move. He's counting on a mistake. Like this would be a mistake. I mean, even queen b5 and then rook b6. That's maybe what he's counting for. But the problem is actually this rook is engage with the attack, and you play here. It's mate, so he has to lose his queen at very minimum. That's one of the drawbacks. And then we play here. And the issue is maybe rook takes g2. The rook gets into the attack. He may play here, but, this is still like, a queen now. And why would he play a queen down? I have no idea, though. I mean, this is still very strange. This is probably the only move that I could see. Rook c6 is still rook d7. But even rook d6, I mean, argument is they maybe here allowing this kind of stuff. I don't need to do this if I have to do. I mean, it's probably easier to take, but yeah, so it's easier to take. Maybe rook e2 works. You want to be careful not to take here. The bishop's still here. I was looking at this way, and supposedly rook d1, king h2 here. There's mate threats maybe, and it's probably safer to take. I know that maybe rook e2 could work, but so now here, which way should I check you, sir? There's also queen h5 before we get to play this. Bishop f6 here. I mean, this is terrible. So queen h5, avoiding all the counterplay. He's looking for this kind of dream, I mean, some kind of, I don't know, like some kind of attack that would never happen, but it's okay. We stopped this, we want to take here, and somehow he took here. That's okay. Thank you very much. He's playing on. I don't understand this guy. Like, this is like not a flagging. This is like queen, bishop. This is like I don't know. Maybe I should never play this guy. Anyways, here, Queen e5. We could promote. There's not much to say about this game. I mean, I can understand it when it's a bold chess. The potential flagging, the tension, but there's here no tension, no flagging, nothing happening. Rook b1. No flagging, nothing at all here. Here we go, stopping all these counter ideas. So the pawn is going to be frozen. Doesn't have rook b2 if I move here. Again, this is like resignable. So when you play 1 minute chess and you have this kind of stuff, there's always flagging, so you could depend on the flag. But in situation like here, we play rapid game. Supposedly lose a little bit faster because this is we could have played like 2 more games, right? It's not really makes sense here. So all I have to do is like push the pawn. I mean, this is he cannot check. The queen takes. Not much to say. He could play here, goofy. Big achievement by black. He might do like e2. E2 is queen takes again. So here nothing much is going. I mean, for 2400 to play like this is I cannot justify it. Now he resigns. No need for a rematch, sir. We could have probably rematch. We should have been on a new game like 10 minutes ago, I guess, 5 minutes ago. We play somebody else. Not much going on in this game except like the attack that I was talking about, like how he opens up some lines. You know, yeah, how I played like e4, right? So constructing the plan. So sometimes people like pick plans, but it could be the wrong plan, right? Knowing which plan to go, which side of the board to play. When I started playing like e4, I remember talking about e3, like shutting down the bishop. He kind of rushed and took on f4, which allowed the bishop to get activated. I understand what he was trying to do. He was basically trying to say, well, I'm trying to get some activity, like I'm gonna castle long. He could have like hanged on a little bit, like delay the move or two, and then have potential, counterplay. All right, so e4, we have g6. I mean, let's play d6 for a change. This is like the perk defense, but it could actually transpose to like the modern somehow, and even like it could transpose to even the King's Indian depending on how white plays. I mean, right now it's. I mean, I don't think it's the King's Indian from here because we have e4, but it could some lines. But now it's a modern, like because I think knight f6 is probably the perk. So now we are playing the modern defense, which kind of interesting. They both are similar, but except the perk is not as good as let's say the modern defense. And here actually we transpose to like d4 lines because he played like c4. So we are not on the e4 territory now. We are playing the d4, which could transpose to like I think e5 may be still the modern or King's Indian. So that's what I meant by how it could transpose. Like you went from the perk to the modern, and you could also go to like the King's Indian because of c4. So there's a lot of ideas here. Bishop c4, bishop g4 is met by here. You could take here e5. I'm gonna do this. I haven't played this in a long time. Bishop g4. In this setup, I haven't played this in a while. I think it's bishop e3. I don't think it's d5 because maybe knight d4 is playable. You cannot take, the queen is hanging. Yeah, so what you could do here is takes. Actually, this feels interesting because I think it's pawn takes, which is kind of a new dynamic. So queen takes is not the move maybe because of the knight takes. That's going to be a free pawn. So if I were to allow this kind of stuff and maybe e5 here, knight e7, this feels interesting. I mean, it feels like King's Indian kind of ideas. Because if I slow down a little bit, if I play knight f6, I think maybe even knight f6 might be the King's Indian. There's a move order kind of stuff. It's funny. If I slow down with knight f6, maybe he has like bishop e2. I feel like here is the King's Indian in some ways, maybe a better version of the King's Indian for like white in this line. So maybe I have to take, and this is probably the move. But if you slow down here, you might get hit by like d5. So we play e5 ourselves. The real question, what happens after d5? Do I jump? Or do I play like King's Indian kind of ideas or, the modern defense? Supposedly, if I go here, queen e4, so this is funky stuff here. Yeah, this is potential take knight b5. Potential take. All right, I'm going to do this. Let's see what happens. So this is actually kind of a trouble move for white to see because the knight is like closing in. Closing in to the opponent, right? Once the knight close in, it becomes trouble. Like a lot of threats might be happening and it becomes a little bit of a hassle. Right, so the knights are, when you have a knight here and instead of the knight here, the knights, as soon as they advance in a better square, like here, you could see the threats. Not threats, but the idea that it could jump to, right? I guess that's a better way to say it. You're not really winning here, he's still defending, but if he misplayed, you could always like win stuff, right? So the fact that the knight is sitting here, it does allow you to, this kind of squares are, even going backwards. There's more squares that the knight could go to, so it's probably a good knight, better than the bishops, right? Better than the bishop on f1, right? So he plays h4. He's looking for this kind of stuff. I may have to shut down the door, like maybe h5. He may play here, but I think this is not going anywhere. Or I could play knight f6 with the idea of knight h5. And that's also another idea because he has a double pawn, so the knight may go here in some lines. But if he plays here, h6. So maybe it's instead of h5, maybe knight f6 is probably the best idea. And that's the reason why I don't like h4, because maybe the knight goes to h5. But again, this is playable, right? This might be playable here. So if I go here, he takes, queen takes, knight h5, and just down a pawn. Down a pawn, so I may have to play h5. I would have loved to play knight f6, but... But hey, maybe bishop f6. h4 is weak. In some lines, right? He's going with f4. Things are getting really wild here, I suppose. He's trying... This is not takeable. This is... So he's trying to get rid of his double pawn. That's kind of nice. So I could play knight h6, or it's probably knight h6 and knight f6 because that kind of blocks access. So knight h6, the point of this move is knight g4 in some lines. If you go with knight f6, there's still bishop takes here happening. So that means I cannot play knight g4. The bishop is hanging on g7. So here, I'm keeping the bishop intact, defending d4 as much as possible. So yeah, if you take here, you lost a piece, so I have to take it that way. You always need to keep, like when you do a move or a plan, you have to double check your plan tactically before the plan. Because if your plan is not tactically works, the entire plan collapses, right? So when we play this kind of stuff, you have to be very careful you're not giving up a pawn. Or I'm sacking a pawn. We also have a term called sacking a pawn. Like you intentionally sack a pawn for activity, right? I could have went for this sack, but I don't think there was enough activity for black to allow it. He made a mistake, knight f3. Didn't we talk about the knights being creating some creating some threats? That's one of them. So that's one of the reasons where the knight sitting on d4. I just want to check. I actually offer him a rematch, but let me see one thing with the computer just to see if actually black is doing well. I mean, it should not win like this, but anyways, let's see. So around here, yeah, black is better. Black is winning because of knight f3, but here I suppose maybe white is okay. So computer is giving me queen e4, and then you have to play king f8. And I was actually prepared to play this kind of stuff and then castling along. Knight g4, rook d2. This is like next generation kind of play. King g8, king b1. And this is a balanced game. Like the computer is basically saying it's equal after like bishop h6. It's funny though. You cannot take here. I guess you could, but this is actually a mistake. Yeah, bishop d2. That's a mistake. So I was looking at another line. The line that I was looking at, knight f6 was playable. So I was between. There's also c5. I was looking at this move too. But knight f6 is playable. So the computer is giving me. I actually forgot one line here. Should he takes on d4? Maybe it's knight h5. I was looking at this line, but queen d2. The computer is basically saying black's better. So that's a sack of a pawn, right? I mean, I could probably play this line. There's also queen f6 hitting here, and let's say he plays bishop g2. There's always like potential knight f4 later, and you beat down a pawn, but I wasn't so comfortable. But the reason here, when you look over like the pawn sack, you could look at it. The computer likes it because it just feels like this is a long range of a bishop. This is a double pawn. There's a weakness on f4. Let's say bishop here, knight f4. It's a dynamic kind of position where you're sacking a pawn for a lot of activity. So that would have been nice. Knight f6 is actually what white should have done, is actually knight b5. So you don't really take the pawn, you just play for this kind of stuff. Knight b5 makes a lot of sense here. So this is actually, if you trade the knight, it's good for white. Computer is giving me c5. So c5, the point of this move is, if this were to happen, you always take that way. And this is actually a computer line where you play like this and you castle. So even here, you sack a pawn, and it's giving me like it's equal because of this actually weak pawns. I mean, the f2, f3, they are doubled, not in a good way here. This feels like they are, even though they contribute to the center, but it looks like black has some counterplay for the pawn, like compensation for it. All right, we'll play another game. Let's play another d6. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's a modern map. It's a modern main line. I'm not sure if I want to play the main line. Yeah, so here you could take here f4. c6 maybe. So this move is annoying in some lines because if he takes this way, there's no enough attack up happening. If knight takes knight f6. I mean, this diagonal is also very strong. Typically, people play c3 sometimes, so the bishop would not be as on g7, not as strong at this diagonal, right? To cut down a little bit of the activity by the bishop on g7. So here he could take though. I mean, maybe and then here again the diagonal. So there's always like queen b6 ideas. I mean, I'm assuming c3 is like autopilot kind of move. Assuming he's gonna play it though. He's looking at maybe f5, but queen b6 might be coming. I mean, I could play king f8 though. I actually don't understand this check though. I mean, king f8 is not like a bad move. This move is kind of shaky though, because I think there's a problem. He doesn't have c3. Should I play king f8? This queen b6. And if bishop e3, defending queen b6, b2 is hanging. So, I mean, this check move is not needed. I felt like this pawn is okay. He's probably assuming this is going to happen, and what if I move here? He doesn't have f5. So I'm probably gonna try to trick him to see what happens. Now queen b6 is a big move. Maybe e5. I just take though. Ah, I cannot take. This is hanging. Hmm. Maybe check and take. I mean, it just felt like the check doesn't do much for white, though. From my perspective, it just feels like queen b6 is a move he has to be careful about. Maybe the computer would give it like bishop d7 would it be now? Necessary move. We'll see. I mean, he doesn't have this move, and this seems to be a key, though, I think. Maybe e5. So what happens after e5? Because this means I have to be quick. I cannot take. The queen is hanging, right? So if I check, for example, let's say he plays king h1, I could take the pawn. And then this is actually still under attack, though. But would you give this bishop for that one? That's another question to ask. He didn't go for it, of course. He's looking at e5, though. So he defend the bishop. So here, queen b6, maybe. What happens with queen b6 anyway? He just plays king h1. a6. I don't think he's gonna play here because maybe I have bishop d4. He's also running e5, so that's kind of interesting. All right, we will check. I'm assuming king h1 is the best move. But here's the issue. Maybe if he plays king h1, because maybe bishop g4. So take, queen takes b5. Hitting on f1. b2 is still maybe a concern. At least I could play king g7. It almost feels like I'm castling manually, with some activity for black. I mean, this feels like this is a safe move, but after bishop g4, it may not be a safe move after all, right? You gain a tempo by attacking the queen. If you misplay that, or if you play here, the bishop is under attack. If he plays this move, which is probably like logical move, you develop a piece, you block the check, which I'm actually maybe in favor for that. He's probably gonna have to play here. But then if he ever traded, then b2 is hanging. He played here, so now we are back to this one. This move looks like it's a very strong move to me. You develop with a tempo, right? It's equivalent to this bishop e3 thing, but I think this move is necessary. Supposedly you take queen takes b5, you gain a tempo by hitting this with mate, the rook on f1. And you're stopping e5 also in some lines. So we are going with this one. It's a big tempo though. So if let's say he plays here or here, that means that black gain a move. If he plays queen c4, rook c8 could be a very strong move. Because now you're getting another initiative here and just keep going, right? Move after move. Queen f2, it's a big mistake. He cannot. He has to stay on the diagonal or take this bishop. It's probably take on this bishop and some kind of queen takes and bishop d2 maybe. But then b2 becomes something you have to be concerned about. Maybe he's okay after rook b1 and then b7. I mean, I'm gonna check with the computer after. Maybe this whole thing is okay. Maybe he could defend. So this move is, probably the best move. So, in the position, it makes a lot of sense here. So the real question is what to do after that. Do I play rook c8, king g7, h5? He's probably playing here next, right? I have to be careful though. So probably e6. Not giving him this move yet. Don't want him to gain move by attacking. Want to slow him down a little bit. So he plays here. Now, if this move is playable, you may have here bishop e6, so that's not a move. If I could play here, bishop here, queen c6, supposedly, or the b2 is hanging. So maybe it's rook c8 still for me. So if he plays here, this may be playable. I mean, this is like a real move, a real pawn grab. And if, let's say, bishop e3 takes rook ab1, there's an argument to be made that queen c3 is playable. So he plays f5. Yeah, this feels like things are going... He's basically saying that my bishop is trapped. That's a good question. Is it really trapped? He's now playing in a very effective way. But this also opened up the door for a lot of things too. I mean, this feels maybe even pawn takes, but he's actually connecting here, which I have to be careful what he's doing. The man is connecting everything now. So what happens if I were to trade queens? H3 still happening, but this is hanging. It's a bit concerning though. My bishop trapped. There's also queen d5 that could happen now, which f7 would be mate. So if I play here, trade bishop d3, takes, bishop h5. Feels like it's goofy now. Maybe the bishop is not trapped, but it would take me more time to untangle myself here, which is not sure if I like this. But this f5 move is pretty good. So if I play here, does he has check? Could take h5. Still off here. Still queen d5. Let's play this. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe the bishop is trapped. We'll see. He might take on bishop d3 though, which is very strong. This also may be playable. I mean, right now I'm attacking the bishop though, so there's something that he has to be careful of. But this move could be played, yeah. What to do here? Is it king e8 though? Which is now I move my king like 50 times. Looks like it. I mean, I could play here if we could trade queens, but is it really? My bishop is trapped. Because king g8 blocks access to this rook on h8. I just don't feel comfortable blocking access to this rook. So maybe here. He's probably going to take the queen though. I try not to pre-move because people could be tuning into the stream, and if I pre-move, they may not see that there's a queen on the board. So that's the reason why I go back and forth. But I mean, typically I would be pre-moving this, like if I were to play the game solo, because it's probably like 90% he might take. He may not, but it's logical that he does here, and bishop d3. So it's defending c2 and also keeping this like h3 g4 is actually the concern, right? So that's maybe trapping the bishop. This is probably the best move, I suppose, but maybe the bishop is not trapped because I could play bishop h5, h3, and then I may have f6. So by the time he plays g4, the bishop goes to f7. So that's that's a plan. He's gonna play here. The reason he has to be careful, I don't think this is a move because bishop e2 is coming. Yeah, so this is actually the right plan. Now I have to be careful where I'm going. So it's bishop h5. This move is met here, so he could win the piece right away. So if this is a lot, this is actually giving him the piece. So I have to play bishop h5, which is so if he plays here, actually this feels. Wait, that's maybe this. Maybe still here, by the way, still here because h3 is pawn takes. Yeah, this is still works for me. Yes, I could take once. He's gonna take back. I was looking at some kind of rook f4, but I don't think that works. So it's kind of a challenging game now, which is yeah. So here I have to be very precise. So I have to play here because now rook f4 works. The idea is you win one of the piece, right? You take this one or this one. You defend one, you don't defend the other one. So I have to play like here. The idea is f6, bishop f7. So if he plays here and here, I'm ready by f6, bishop f7. So I kind of saved the position. Now there's a new dynamic. The bishop here may be so active. He plays here, so this means like this is met by here. There's a new dynamic means that bishop on e5, bishop on d4 could go to e5, and it's so active bishop. So here I saved the piece. So it took me some time to figure out what to do. So rook e1 is kind of goofy. I don't understand this move though. I guess I could take this bishop g7. That doesn't do much. I could take here. If he plays rook here, I could play here. Rook takes b7, bishop d5. There's a lot of diagonals concern here that he has to be concerned about. Maybe he was looking at this and bishop takes f6, but the bishop covering it. So that's a free pawn. That might be crucial enough. And this is also here, so you have to be careful. So I go here. I don't think he's going to go for this. Yeah, if he paused a little bit, he would know this is bishop d5. So maybe bishop e4, but then I could move the pawn. Yeah, he's aware. So if I play here, bishop b7, or I could play d5. Which one is best? It's probably d5. d5. Rook c7, defending b7, and then the king moves. How many times would I move my king? I mean, the king may have to move so the other rook gets in to join the party somehow. But it's funny that I move my king a lot, but maybe it's okay. I mean, sometimes there are weird exception in the chess game where that you could move the pieces a couple times. So now I move. I traded. That's fine with me though. The reason it's fine because I'm up a pawn, so now it's a different story. I have to move a little bit fast. This is actually winning. The rook is how could you rook here, never mind. I was about to say this felt like off. Wait a second, that feels I have to play here. Bishop d5. This may be a mistake by me. So d5 defending this. Doesn't feel like it's safe where my king is sitting. Maybe here. Is bishop b5 a move, though? Yeah, he saw it. He saw it. So b5 stopping this check. Rook e4 and take. This is like bold chess now at its finest. He takes here, I win something. Can I just win? Yeah, this feels winning. Feels winning. Yeah, I'm up a rook now. It's difficult, sir, to win to hold this. Now stalemates. Is mate here, and then I'm trying to do no mate. This mate, yeah, mate here. All right, that game is pretty wild though. I have got to admit this one is pretty good. Do you recommend us playing rapid games to improve? Is it 22 rapid? Yeah, I mean, rapid games are probably, if you're 2200 rapid, you still have to probably play. You could still play like maybe, maybe blitz game if you want, but I consider 2200 still like not high enough, to skip like tactics. So tactics still probably necessary. I've seen people like in 2400 make mistakes, like tactical mistakes. If you check my videos, YouTube videos, you would see that some of my opponents, including 24, they make like tactical mistakes. So I'll probably say yes, play tactics, and also do like a lot of puzzles. So you have to see a lot of the moves. Like this game, I saw some major ideas. You have to be like this all the time, and it's not that you cannot guarantee to have this kind of performance. So here black was doing great. Yeah, I'm just looking over. Maybe I actually misplayed here. Supposedly king d7 would have been a better. I actually considered this move right away. So the idea, if you take here, this feels like, yeah, I actually looked at 3 versus 1. But this is supposed to be good, even though it's double pawn. It was 50-50 kind of thing. So here is very interesting. So here, remember, if you guys remember, there's like a trap of a bishop here. The computer is giving me some weird line that it's completely weird. I mean, I cannot believe it. Like e4. You have got to be kidding me. What is e4 here? So a4, maybe like a5 rook e4. This is like deep enough. So f6 and c3. and bishop e5. So white's still better here, and it's looking at e5. So maybe here the idea is I could understand this move. It's fixing the pawn here, so you don't play b5, and maybe bishop e4 ideas will be kind of a problem to defend. So I could still play here, though, on something like rook e4. Look at this. It's actually a computer line. So I was within the line. So here the issue, maybe rook b4, bishop e4, attacking here. So rook b4 maybe in a nice play. White is still better here. I just want to know if queen d4 was a good move. Yeah, it's giving me like queen d4 is the only move. Any other move here is not the best. So if you play h5, just to give you idea, you guys see the bar, I suppose. Yeah, the bar is here. It's giving me like this is winning, of course. Something like here. This is very dangerous. Bishop g5, so white should be winning this. Even after here, it's just even rook takes. Computer is giving me rook takes. Look at this. Look at this kind of stuff. The king is the king in the corner after queen g7. This is one preview that black could get in trouble. So queen d4 was best, but I just want to check one thing with the computer. I was talking about like if this is good, like bishop b5. Yeah, it's bishop b5 check is not good. King f8 is not good as well, so I have to play bishop d7. And this is not a good idea. Supposedly here, c3, black is active after like castling. I mean, even though it's equal, but black would probably be active, slightly active. Yeah, king f8. Maybe there's something wrong with king f8. It's giving me bishop e3. So this pawn sack is okay. Yeah, if this is okay, then I'm in trouble. And then like e5. Yeah, so that's the reason why king f8 is like a little bit of goofy move by me. So he did not play the right move, though. He went with here, and this allows queen b6. The real question is bishop e3 here. It's met by bishop d4. The computer just feels like this is actually good for black. I mean, not good for black, but it's decent enough for black, this kind of stuff. And king h1, and then you play queen takes b2. Now you take the pawn, and maybe white doesn't have too much counterplay. King h1. Oh, slightly, and then you do have to play queen c7 or bishop g. Actually, now it's shift to bishop g4, and it likes queen d3. Now it's worth noting that this is probably good for black. You know, at least black is equalized without an issue because it's actually hitting with mate. So this queen f3 would probably be more convenient. But then you castle. I mean, manually, and then something like e4, queen c6. This is probably balanced. But I like these positions for black, to be honest. The fact here that this diagonal could be a problem, you may have to play c3 right now, and but you know black maybe getting a little bit active, if anything. Yeah, I have to get going, but it wasn't you from yesterday. Yeah, I tried to send you a challenge, but you did not. You did not accept it. Rook c7. Yeah, so this is all winning. Yeah, king c5. So I actually felt this is winning. I forgot that the reason I said it was winning because I'm actually attacking both rooks. I was looking at this, but this is losing. And then here there's like some kind of b5. It's other rook. It's other rook, and I don't have a5 because there's rook b5 here. So I was considering bishop e8. In some lines, the idea of bishop e8 is like bishop b5. So let's say he plays a goofy move, bishop b5, right? That's actually one of the goofy moves here, and it's actually winning here. Why bishop b5 is good here is because you disconnect the rooks. You know, the king is really attacking both rooks, so if this were to happen, you just basically win in exchange. So bishop b5 is really a good idea, and I was considering during the game, but I could not make it work. Something about it did not really kick in, but this is actually the best move, supposedly, bishop e8. Or d4. It's between these two moves, bishop e8, d4. So d4 is actually bishop d5. You might be asking why this move doesn't work. Because I could take, he takes, bishop d5. It's check. So when you're dealing with any kind of tactics, you have to like look for checks. And I knew there was a check happening. He knew about it too, and he moved the king. So now, if you're not really careful, let's say I play h6, then he takes here, right? It's a free pawn. He got back his pawn though, so. But here, forgot about this, yeah. So supposedly this is all good for black, probably winning. Bishop d5, rook e7, a5. This is a very good demonstration here why this is winning. Even though white is back, he took back his pawn. So I always tell people that, you know, pass pawns are very dangerous pawns. Connected pass pawns, outsider pass pawn. So probably connected pass pawns are the most good pawns to like. Connected pass pawn is like, let's say c2 is not here, it's on d2, and let's say you have a pawn at b6 and a5. This is what we call like connected two pass pawns. So they are very dangerous. Put connected pass pawns. You could actually outplay a rook. In some situations, these pawns could just promote on their own, right? And that's the reason why, if you have the knowledge, when you have two connected pass pawn, it may help you win a lot of games, right? Should you know this ahead of time. There's another term that we have, a pass pawn, and also not every pass pawn is equal. We also, what we have is what we call like outsider pass pawn. It almost feels like it's outside the board, right? It could be on the H file, the A file. So A5, the reason this is winning, and it's funny, it's because this E pawn is huge. It's not a connected pass pawn, it's outsider pass pawn. It's sometimes hard to catch because it's on the side of the board. So the reason this is winning, the computer is giving g5, you take even after f6, rook f8, and you just defend, and this pawn is just going to move forward. Right, and this is the unstoppable pawn. You could argue, why not just play like rook e7, right? And then rook e8. And you could see the issue. If this were to happen, this pawn is running solo, pretty much. The king could rescue, but it's too late, right? Like e4 here, e3, king c1, bishop f3 maybe, and then you play here, and then h6 here, king b4, g5, and then here you have no moves. You're stuck with the bishop, and then eventually gonna play bishop d5, and then somehow king c3. So connected pass pawns helps. Outsider pass pawn helps. So the reason black could win this game because of this pawn, and that's the reason why the computer was screaming to take on e2. Right. So here it's basically saying, oh no. It's like it's saying the bishop takes on e2 like right now. It's almost minus 3, and it's looking beyond that. This pawn here, a6, is a winning pawn, right? So here it looks like you're down. Black is up 2 pawns, but eventually this could happen, and it went for this line, and then you even sack the pawn and give it, and here it's still like winning right after a5. I'm just showing this line because people might be like confused why this is winning. Why is it black? I mean, you know, it looks like equal to me, but it's not equal. So even though it's equal, but equal amount of pawns, but if you have pass pawn, especially with the bishop lining up this way, allowing rook e8, that becomes the biggest concern for your opponent in this situation. You could probably play me later. I do stream every day, so if it's not today, it's always tomorrow. You know, so I just need to get going though. I'm running late. So this is the games that we have today. I just uploaded a video before I came in here, so you could stay tuned. Like stay tuned to watch the videos if you want. Sometimes people you know watch the live stream, they don't watch the videos. So make sure to watch the videos to know a little bit of like, you know, how I made it to master level, self-taught national master. So if you check the videos, you have a clue what's going on, how many games I played at chess.com, only 100,000 games, which is a lot. So you learn a little bit about me and my, you know, my style, and I'm actively streaming every day, even YouTube now. Actively streaming should be every day. So sometimes I miss days if I'm busy teaching. I do teach, chess lessons. I give chess lessons to people, and with bundle discounts, which is not good for me. If it's some kind of discount, then I lose a profit, and but it's okay. But I do it for people could learn the word of mouth, and people could learn, and then if they improved, you could always recruit different students, and also or keep going. So busy doing that, and also streaming and playing, right? Actively playing. So we'll end here. We'll be back tomorrow. Supposedly tomorrow is maybe a better day, like maybe more streaming time. We'll see, or even Monday. Um, so if you have any questions, you could always ask. The idea here of this live stream is to play more rapid. There are occasionally I could play bullet. Uh, I do play bullet chess. I'm like almost 28. I was 28 something yesterday. Usually ranging between 26 to 27, and I sometimes play blitz, which is also 27 right now. I also play in lead chess, so I could stream here, stream there, so you get an idea that I am always everywhere. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with more action. I might be back later today, like maybe within like half an hour, like streaming again, but not here, not in YouTube, maybe in Twitch. So hopefully you guys enjoy this content, and if you want to have more, you just check the videos, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with more action, maybe more